Teaching kids to identify and manage their emotions is an important life skill that they should acquire in the classroom for the simple reason that kids' feelings run deep. The inability to identify and control one's emotions is a major contributor to this problem. What this implies is that when you're feeling overwhelmed by an emotion, it takes over your body and mind, dictating your every move and thought. How about emotions? An emotion is also an entity that takes the form of energy, just like a cognition. You can only perceive its outward manifestations because you are unable to perceive it yourself. Emotions, on the other hand, are entities in and of themselves, forms of energy. And awareness exists if you can identify it. Without self-awareness, it's easy to let your emotions control you. That implies the feeling, which could be anything from anger to grief to anxiety or any number of other negative emotions. Whether it's intense remorse, jealousy, or some other negative feeling, this energy can infiltrate your body, migrate to your head, and eventually dictate your thoughts. Therefore, when you're feeling extremely down or furious, the emotion takes over your mind and colors all of your thoughts with that emotion. Your thoughts are being consumed by the feeling. Emotions trigger thoughts, which in turn heighten those emotions. This is the vicious cycle at work. Therefore, when you're upset, you start to grow even angrier. Your anger grows in proportion to your contemplation of the matter, until you lose it and lash out. Naturally, that also happens to children. Even the youngest children might experience extreme emotions, such as violent tantrums, from time to time. Because their parents don't pay attention to them unless they act aggressively, some kids have learned that this is the only way to communicate with them. Therefore, a youngster might say, "Pain body." If you're familiar with the language I use, you presumably already know this. A pain body is what I call the buildup of pent-up feelings that you're carrying around with you. There is an entity within you that resides in unrecognized emotion. What I call the pain body is actually just a buildup of bad emotions, some of which may have originated in early childhood and have never fully gone away. It helps to think of it as a little being, almost as an inhabitant of your own being. Even while it may lie dormant for a while, eventually it will awaken and invade your thoughts. Then, all of a sudden, this old passion takes control of you. On occasion, an incident can set it off, and you'll typically know it's the pain body when your reaction is excessive in relation to the triggering event. Considering the nature of the stimulus, the reaction is excessive. In most cases, that indicates it has awakened dormant emotions within you. When the pain body awakens and takes control of your thoughts, you cease to be yourself and become the pain body. You embody the enduring essence of a bygone feeling. If you're in a committed relationship, but your spouse doesn't know you very well, maybe because you're newlyweds or because you've just moved in together, they might be taken aback to see that you've changed. As far as I can tell, you're a strange, horrible guy. Your partner's pain body could trigger your own. Even though you're unaware it's the pain body, you might simply be convinced you've made a huge error. After that, there's the terrible drama, and the painful body likes nothing more than negative thinking. Because, after all, thought is energy. When it satisfies an emotional need, that need grows greater. The loop begins with one thought, which leads to another, and so on. That which you refer to as your life is a story, and if you're unhappy with it, you're feeling awful about it. Your life is exactly that, a story. A person's life can be described as a series of recurrent thoughts that run through their mind. Furthermore, this so-called "my life" is a terrible, heavy weight for a lot of individuals. My heart breaks for you. My misery grows every time I dwell on my life's details. I am not referring to myself. Just thinking about my life makes me sadder and sadder. Plus, my desire to dwell on it grows in proportion to my level of misery. What emerges here is the addiction to misery. That's what I call it. I can't stop playing it. What gives it its addictive qualities? Reason being, the feeling desires additional of it. This thing desires more of itself. Its emotional vibrational frequency is looking for food in the form of thoughts that reflect the same energy. Bad emotions are fueled by bad thoughts. Negative emotions cannot be fueled by optimistic thoughts. The idea that the sky is stunning, isn't it amazing? To put it bluntly, the feeling doesn't desire what this gives it. That satisfies it in no way. Alternatively, my life is so wonderful, I disagree. Emotions are fond of thinking, but that's not all they adore. Receiving similar feelings from other people is much more important. This is how the body's pain system functions. When you're upset, your bad emotions might trickle down to your spouse, coworkers, or even your family members. When you say or do something nasty, it's usually because you're trying to make them feel the same way. Nothing is conscious. Even though it's natural, it's crazy. He lets out a laugh. This brings us full round to the idea of the unnoticed mind, missing information. It takes over the psyche of the unobserved. Harmful ideas eventually take hold. When relationship drama ensues, whether it lasts for an hour or two or all day, the pain body, which may consist of repressed feelings from the past, takes over. Eventually, though, the pain body fades away. When you awaken the following day, you feel somewhat more alert. A calming effect has taken hold. You are not quite as insane as you were yesterday. Even though it's not quite as insane as yesterday, it's still not very conscious. And then you realize, oh, what was the point of the drama you had with whoever it was? And how did it begin? You can't even recall the details. No matter where it began, the pain body required and desired it. You put yourself at the whim of your emotional fields when you don't pay attention. You are no longer ensnared or controlled by the emotion. The instant awareness sets in, though it may persist. The presence of an observer ensures that it remains. Additionally, that is a tremendous improvement. The next time you feel a negative emotion, take a step back and remember what I said about telling yourself negative things about yourself, your life, or other people. Once you realize that you're carrying around a lot of energy, emotional and mental, and suddenly you can step back and say things like, "Oh, I've been thinking bad things about my life, but is it really that bad? Why? Because I'm sitting here, taking deep breaths, gazing at the sky and the plant, and experiencing a surge of vitality throughout my body." You start to step away from your internal story and into the here and now. The present moment is the one location where one can break free from the chains of conditioning that have been placed upon them by their prior experiences. Therefore, being mindful is always about being in the here and now. Become an observer of your inner states. That is the power of the present moment, the minute you become conscious. When you break free of your internal states, you're no longer a prisoner to them. If you try to rationalize an emotion by telling yourself things like, I don't want that, the feeling will eventually die out. A dysfunctional way in which the emotion is connecting with your intellect is something you're aware of. Furthermore, you enter the here and now. Now, breathe in deeply, into your belly a few times. Focus on the breaths as they guide you. That is the crucial aspect. Then you'll experience a vivacity that fills your entire being. The worry, dread, weight, or rage may not have completely subsided, and there may be other emotions present as well. Although it is no longer overwhelming you, you can still sense its presence within you. It has not disappeared. Because you are the awareness surrounding it, it's not that horrible, and you can live with it. This energy that was bound up in the emotion starts to be transformed, if you will, as the awareness grows. Right off the bat, there was energy that became stuck in early childhood, and when it gains knowledge, it lets out a big exhale. Since being aware also means allowing it to be present in this very moment. It's not regenerating in your head, rather it's expressing itself in the here and now. Consciousness makes room for it, permits it, and is itself that room. In other words, I can still feel the anxiety, but now that I know it won't control my thoughts, it's manageable. There is a significant distinction. The sensation is there, you breathe it out gently, and then it goes away. It has stopped self-renewing. Allowing it, while it's present, allows you to rationalize the possibility that you might experience sensation in other, healthy areas of your body. You may be experiencing chest pain, yet your hands seem to be okay. A large portion of your body, including your hands, feet, arms, and legs, can sense that. You can sense that vitality. Join me as we explore ways to break free from the grip of emotional energies and the suffering they cause, whether it's physical or mental. Again, kids can pick that up in class, but when they play video games, for instance, parents can help them understand that it's normal for them to have angry outbursts. As soon as it has happened, speak to the child and ask, "What was it?" This could be a young child's body reacting to discomfort. When you started yelling and tossing objects yesterday, what did you do? I don't understand. Describe how you felt. Would you be able to paint it? Putting it into visual form, how would it appear? Tell me the color. Is there a word for that feeling that occasionally takes over and causes you to lose your composure? Would it be words like silence, silence, band? Is there a name for it? What would you call it if you had to give it a name? Additionally, the child's awareness grows as a result of these inquiries. Possible approaches include treating it like a game, acting it out in class games, etc. Consequently, it's the most crucial topic in school since it helps kids become more self-aware. Obviously, awareness would be the first and most important class to take in elementary school. I don't know, is that really not obvious? To begin with, all other subjects have awareness as their foundation. That is nice, and then that's the way it begins. So now that we're adults, we do it often. What a shame that we execute in school what a more progressive society should have accomplished. Hey, it's progress, right? Politicians and media professionals may even be impacted in the long run. At some point, perhaps even predetermined to become aware. Right now, I would advise you to avoid connecting to the collective and to exercise extreme caution when engaging with mainstream or social media in particular, as these forms of media can be both unconscious and toxic in many ways. Obviously, you wouldn't want to put yourself at risk by intentionally exposing yourself to a virus. You wouldn't just declare, "All right, I'll go to a place where a lot of people have this virus and pray for the best." In my opinion, that is not the right move. Similarly, exercise extreme caution when you connect to those types of media, as much of what is happening there is a collective viral infection. You should, at the very least, be aware of what's happening. Okay with me. You are curious about the current situation. Beyond that, though, there's no need to subject oneself to the needless danger of contracting a collective mental infection by listening to 5 individuals on screen hysterically discussing the dire situation for an hour, 2, or 3 hours straight. While being physically present does increase your immunity, there's no reason to put yourself in harm's way if you don't want to. More importantly, be mindful of what you put out there if you participate in or like discussions on social media or any of those other platforms. This includes Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and whatever else you may use. It's not an aggressive move. No one is being attacked. Don't mistake a person's core identity with the mental illness that infects them. In other words, make sure that whatever it is you release helps people become less unconscious rather than adding to it. So, we live in a fantastically difficult period, but that's actually a positive thing. So pay attention to your feelings and identify them as they emerge. This is particularly important when dealing with painful or old emotions that manifest physically. If you can identify the emotion for what it is, an old emotion, then you have won half the battle. Maintain your position as a witness and observer. So, your mission in life is to restore reason to this mad planet. Bringing awareness into this world is a noble goal. In fact, it could be said to be your primary life mission. Being aware, illuminated. Be the change that you want to see in this world. It's a famous phrase that has been credited to numerous people, including Nelson Mandela, but it reminds me of the power of being a positive influence. Yeah, I totally get that. Be the change you want to see in the world by shining a light on your own consciousness. Take a moment to like the video and comment now. If you found this conversation enlightening, it will help us commit to this path of self-discovery. If you're looking for more profound insights like these, be sure to subscribe to my channel. And if you know someone who might use some encouragement, please share this message with them.